Hello, Megamaniacs. I'm Mr. MegaManFan, and today we have three Super Nintendo games on Retro Honey Adventures. We'll be taking a look at Jimmy Connor's Tennis, Mickey's Ultimate Challenge, and ESPN Speed World, and I'll be testing them all on the Analog Super NT. So stay tuned for the Retro Honey Adventures after these words from Megaran.
Yo, this is MegaManFan, and you need to rock and or roll on over to Mr. MegaManFan's YouTube channel, because it's all that rush to make it happen. Peace!
You know, as I get older and add more things to my collection, it becomes increasingly hard to find interesting Super Nintendo games that I don't already have. Sometimes I end up resorting to looking for upgrades, taking things from loose cartridge to complete inbox with manual and inserts and all that fun stuff. But every once in a while, you come to a place like Pop Culture Exchange, you look through their loose games, and you see a few that you didn't already have. And in this case, ESPN Speed World was one of those things. Now, odds are if you were starting a Super Nintendo collection, this wouldn't be the place you'd start. You'd go for Mario All-Stars, Super Metroid, Mega Man X, R-Type, things like that. But this is a pretty impressive game for what it is. They've actually got an ESPN announcer in the game with some limited animation and accompanying vocals, but for the possibilities of putting video on a Super Nintendo cartridge, it's a pretty impressive illusion that it actually looks like they have a video of him talking to you, when really the only thing moving is his mouth. But to get digitized voice and sync it up with a person's face in a Super Nintendo cartridge, well done. That's an impressive feat if you're not using a homebrew solution of some kind. And as far as racing games go, it's not what I would call spectacular. I think some of the sound effects could use a little work, especially when the cars are bumping into each other on the track. It gets really grating over time, but the variety of tracks is acceptable. The options to customize things are acceptable. The graphical quality is, I would say, above average. It seems to have been well designed to keep this perspective behind the car, the camera following you as you circle around the track. I think this is not the greatest, but certainly not the worst game you will play on Super Nintendo if you like racing games or just 16-bit Super Nintendo games in general. And it's on the affordable side of things too. This one only cost me a few bucks, so right now I'm going to say ESPN Speed World gets a slight thumbs up. Not like, hooray, greatest thing I've ever played, but good enough that it was worth dumping using copy SNES and thinking, I will come back to this at a future date, which is one of the reasons I like testing these things on Analog Super NT, because not only do I get HDMI output and beautiful display and nearly what they call reference quality level thanks to the FPGA inside, but well, it's just convenient because once I've bought a cartridge, I can immediately dump it, and then I have that ROM if I want to play it again off the SD card, or if I want to take the SD card out and play it with an emulator, I've got options. The Analog Super NT gives you that flexibility that you don't have to use your cartridge. You can dump it once and then play it again to your heart's content. And so far, the only thing I think it hasn't been able to dump is Rockman X3, which had a bad header in it that really screws things up, but you can still find a ROM of that online if you look around. So I'd say 99% of things can be dumped using copy SNES, and the other 1% you can work around, which is a lot easier than copy NES on the analog NT Mini Noir, where every time you copy something, you have to guess which custom mapper it has inside and select the appropriate one to dump it with. And if it's wrong, it won't work and you have to try a different one. And there are dozens of ones to try. Anyway, now we have Jimmy Connor's Pro Tennis Tour from Blue Byte Sports Channel. I'm assuming Blue Byte is the developer here. They're trying to do their own EA Sports. It's in the game. Well, I don't think it took off to that degree because nobody talks about the Blue Byte Sports Channel like they do EA Sports, but good on you for trying. As far as tennis games go, I won't say I'm a huge fan of them outside of perhaps Mario Tennis games, but again, much like with ESPN Speed World, this seems like it's par for the course or slightly better. Sorry to use a golf analogy in a tennis game, but it's just the one that came to mind. And looking at this and playing this, I don't have any major complaints. Maybe you would feel it's too automated because playing this exhibition game, my Jimmy Connor's analog, not analog as in the system, as in he's my avatar who's representing me on the screen. He seems to get in position before the ball even crosses the net. And all I have to do is time my swing by hitting the action button right when the ball gets to me. And if I'm successful, I can usually lob it back across the court to a position where the computer opponent can't get to it. Although he kept coming back on me. Every time I'd get the advantage, he'd tie it up. And then finally I was able to eliminate him after a deuce or a couple of deuces, but it took a little bit. So perhaps I'm doing something wrong that I couldn't put him away more easily. But then I don't play a lot of tennis games outside of Mario Tennis, as mentioned. So I'm going to say it looks alright, it plays alright. Some people may prefer a less automated approach, but I think in the options you can change that and he won't automatically run to the ball. If you really want to run to it yourself, I'm sure you can. So again, cautious thumbs up for Jimmy Connor's tennis. I think if you like tennis a lot, you would appreciate this even more. As somebody who is not the biggest fan of tennis in the world, I think it's okay. The sounds are certainly less grating than ESPN Speed World. It feels like tennis. And Jimmy Connors, I don't know that name really means anything to anybody over 25 years later, but he was a pretty big name in tennis back in the day. These days, you'd probably think of somebody like Serena Williams. Maybe they should do that. Maybe somebody should make a custom ROM hack of Jimmy Connor's tennis and make it into Serena Williams tennis. I'd play that. But anyway, it's a decent game. And affordable. The fact that I got all three of these Super Nintendo games for $20 combined, not counting tax, of course, you can hardly beat that. You're certainly not getting those kind of prices on eBay where even common games will set you back $7 or $8 and then shipping and tax on top of that. So sometimes you should take advantage of something when you see it for a decent price locally, like I did at Pop Culture Exchange. And Mickey's Ultimate Challenge definitely fell into that category. They were selling it for $10. On eBay, it was going for anywhere from that price to more, but then tax and shipping, whereas I was already there, and all I had to pay was the local sales tax and no shipping, so it seemed like a good deal at the time, especially when I looked it up on price charting later and saw that they were priced slightly under the average for this game. Now, Ryan Taylor told me when he saw my Instagram photo of my haul that he had memories of playing this game when he was a kid, thought it was a decent challenge, but not super hard, enjoyable, but not spectacular. And I think the key words there would be as a kid, because this game, well, it's meant for a younger audience, I would think. Because it's a lot of mini games, and the mini games are, what's the right word for it? The mini games are the kind of mini games you would play at a younger age, like Simon Says and Classic Concentration, like memorizing the right notes and playing them in the right order, or finding two matching pictures and then finding two more matching pictures and remembering where the pictures were if you overturned them and they don't match, and then going back and matching the correct ones. Those are the kind of things you are doing in Mickey's Ultimate Challenge. Ostensibly, you're helping out this kingdom of Beanwick by doing these challenges. Like, somehow, it stops the earthquakes that have been ravaging the kingdom. I don't know what the connection is, but it is, after all, a dream. Mickey fell asleep and entered a dream world, which seems to be the premise of a lot of Disney games that I've played. The titular character falls asleep and enters a dream world. Donald Duck, Mickey, Goofy, they all just seem to fall asleep and wake up somewhere else. It's almost a trope, I would say. Maybe it's a good trope because it can explain how they end up in a faraway land, as Mickey was dreaming about when he read his book and fell asleep. It's also contrived to the extreme. But contrivance is alright, because you can do a lot worse, like the Home Improvement Super Nintendo game. The way they contrived Tim Allen going through all these worlds as Tim the Toolman Taylor was that these lost bin for tools were spread around different Hollywood sets, and each one that he was entering was a movie set. That's even more contrived than this, if you ask me, so I'm not really complaining. I'm just saying you take what you can get when it comes to putting plot and exposition and story and thought into a Super Nintendo game, and sometimes just saying you fell asleep and woke up in a dream world is good enough. I mean, if you're really going to complain about that kind of thing, then you might as well complain about Super Mario 3, because the whole thing is, according to historians and video game experts and the designers themselves, a stage play where Mario is running around in a world that is not even real. So you don't really think about that while you're playing Super Mario 3. You don't think about yourself as being an actor on stage. But then if you see the way you can go from the foreground to the background when you get the warp whistle, yeah, that kind of tells you it's like cardboard cutouts on a stage. Again, contrivance, it's just the gimmick they chose for how to make the game look. Can't make every game look like Super Mario or Super Mario 2, aka Doki Doki Panic. They did what they could, and it's not bad, it's just what it is. Which is what I would say about Mickey's Ultimate Challenge. It's not bad, it's just what it is. It's probably intended for a younger audience than me, but I have no problem with that, and I still think there's some enjoyment to be had here, even if you're not the intended audience. It's fine. It's a good game if you want to collect all of the different Disney games that are available for Super Nintendo. And if you're looking to do that, there's a SNES Drunk, or as he always says, SNES Drunk. Look for his video about all of the different Disney games on Super Nintendo, and he even includes the Super Famicom ones that are exclusive to Japan. So if you're looking to collect a set, that will give you some good information about what ones you have and what ones you don't. I'm Mr. MegaManFan. This has been the Retro Hunting Adventures. I thank you for watching. This week we featured 3 Super Nintendo games that I picked up at Pop Culture Exchange: Jimmy Connor's Tennis, ESPN Speed World, and Mickey's Ultimate Challenge. I'll see you next time.